to the Quality of Life podcast. My name is Erin and I am a businesswoman and mother who has been studying personal growth for over 15 years. I've tried almost all of the habits and hacks out there. My goal is to use my real-life experience to show you which tricks and habits make the biggest changes to your quality of life with the least amount of time and energy on your part. We will cover everything from habits to hacks, fitness to family, and everything in between. Now, let's dive on into today's topic. Hey guys, thanks for listening in today. Last week, we talked all about the words we say out loud and how they affect our life. If you haven't listened to it yet, the episode is episode number 14. It's called The Words I Am and How to Use Them to Create the Life You Want. That's available at theerinolson.com/podcast. So I'm going to ask, how was your homework? Did you notice the words I am and the words that followed a little bit more? Or did you make up your believable I ams to start your day? I hope you chose to decide your identity and what you stand for. And that way, your life will begin to change in amazing ways. Well, this week, we are going to talk about the words we say in our heads. Self-talk. Woohoo! That little voice in our heads that is constantly chatting away, reliving the past, dreaming of the future, or maybe even enjoying the present, and making judgments about everything. Self-talk is something that we can harness, though, for good, with just a few tools. And today, I'm going to give you those tools and help you learn to control the beast that is your self-talk. So, what really is self-talk? It's that constant reel of thoughts that we have that starts the moment we wake up and doesn't shut up until we finally quiet it and go to sleep. It's always going. It is a constant chattering going on and on and on, and I know you know what I'm talking about. There are several different kinds of self-talk, though. There's positive self-talk. These are the ones that empower us to do good, feel good, or that we or something is good. Negative self-talk is thoughts that don't empower us to do good, feel good, or that we or something is bad. There's instructional self-talk. And this is when we are basically coaching ourselves through something, like when you're going to tee up a ball for golf. And you, in your mind, will tell yourself how to look at the ball, make contact, pivot at the hips or the shoulders, whatever. I'm not a golfer. Actually, I'm a really bad golfer, so don't take that for any advice. But instructional is something that is more, it can be also motivating. You can do this. You've done this before, something like that. Or there is neutral self-talk. This is where something just is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. Neutral self-talk is something that we actually should use more because I don't know if you're anything like me, but almost everything in my head has either a positive or a negative connotation. And neutral self-talk is something that can help keep us a little more level when that conversation is going on. So how does self-talk affect your everyday choices and actions? It can help steer you towards having a good day or a bad day or waking up on the wrong side of the bed. And if you have that thought, the rest of the day just continues as such. So you know what it's like. You stub your toe getting out of bed and the rest of the day is pretty much crap. So that's one way that it can help affect your everyday. Another way that it can help to affect your everyday choices and actions is negative self-talk can lead to victimish thinking. It can obliterate your self-esteem and your confidence, and that's not something we need help with. The third way that self-talk can affect your everyday choices and actions is that if it's positive self-talk, we can increase motivation, self-control, and general joy in your life. And who doesn't need more of that? The fourth way that it can affect your everyday choices and actions is that if you are using instructional self-talk, you can psych yourself up to do something hard, like you've done this before, or something is possible. The fifth way that self-talk can affect your everyday choices and actions is if it is neutral self-talk, it strips away all of the feelings from the facts and allows us to use the event to inform and teach us. This is where the real power is. In the book Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess by Dr. Caroline Leaf, she talks about how every thought becomes an actual protein in our brains. Healthy thoughts grow and look like trees, where the toxic thoughts look like dead swamp trees on the molecular level. Toxic thoughts can even create chemical imbalances. How scary is that? So knowing that negative or positive thoughts in your brain can really change your chemical makeup, how do we control and harness the power of self-talk to serve us? The first way that we learn to control the self-talk is to actually listen to the conversation that's going on. We all know that there's talk going on and on and on in our heads, but to actually listen to it, you'll actually find that if you're like most people, it tends to have a lot of repeat thoughts. In fact, there's a study that says that most of the thoughts that we have are repeat thoughts. I think it's like 70%. That's a lot of repeat thoughts. If you could just harness the 70%, can you imagine how much extra space in your brain you'd have? The second thing that we can do to control and harness self-talk is to identify what kind of self-talk is it. Most people have a voice that is constantly critiquing every move we make and judging it. And if we can figure out what the voice in our head tends to say, we can actually do what the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 10:5 and take every thought captive and do something about it. Even if you aren't a Christian, this advice is still very applicable. The third way we can control self-talk and harness its power is to challenge it. First and foremost, is that thought true? You don't have to believe every thought or every feeling you have. One of the biggest shifts that I had mentally came when I realized that just because something popped into my head didn't mean I had to believe it or even give it any power or space. If you find yourself ruminating or dwelling on the past over and over and over, I'm going to tell you that you can and should stop it. Forgive yourself and let that crap go. The next time it starts, use the instructional self-talk and tell yourself that there is nothing you can do to change the past and that you will not allow that moment to sabotage the present. And I'll tell you, the same thing applies to worrying about the future too. Stop allowing that to remove your ability to be present now. When I was a teenager, I had this poster that said, if you've got 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, you're pissing on today. I know it's crude, but it really stuck with me. And how true is that? I mean, if you're constantly thinking about the past or constantly worrying about the future, how can you actually enjoy or actually be present for this moment right here? We're only given this moment, and you shouldn't piss it away. So when you're challenging those negative thoughts, one thing you can do is you can try to reframe them to be a little more neutral or positive. Some examples of this would be like, so if you have this thought, say, I can't do this, try thinking, I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but with practice and patience, I know that it's possible. Or if you have the thought, I am so dumb, which I pretty much do every time I hit my head on something or drop something because I'm trying to carry too many things at once. I have to reframe that thought from I'm so dumb to I made a mistake, but that doesn't make me dumb. Everybody makes mistakes now and then. Or how about the thought, I can't believe I failed at blank. Try thinking, well, it's true that I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. It's important to remember that one event doesn't define me or my abilities. And one more example of a negative thought and how you could reframe it would be, that thing that happened to me was horrible. Try thinking, that thing happened and it wasn't fair, but what lesson can I learn from it? I am a firm believer that everything, good or bad, happens for us, not to us. It's to teach us something that we will use in the future. So if you can find a lesson in the mess, you'll be able to reframe that experience to be a helpful one and let the crappy feelings that are associated with it go. And how much better would that feel? So the fourth thing we can do to tame the beast that is our self-talk is to exercise the ability to control the freight train that can be your self-talk, so you can make it stop and visit the places you want to be. Learning about thoughts and self-talk in way more depth is a great way to equip yourself with more tools. There's a lot of really, really good books that I've read over the past that are so helpful. And don't worry, if you can't write this down right now, I will put them in the show notes. But there are several books that I think you really could use for help. The first one is The Battlefield of the Mind, and that is by Joyce Meyer. She has come from so many bad things and became a great speaker. She's not one to sugarcoat, but she is one to empower and to help you to actually win what she calls the battlefield that is your mind and conquer that self-talk. Another one that I already alluded to earlier is by Dr. Caroline Leaf, and that is Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. It is a super good book. I'm kind of a nerd, so I really like the fact that it is very scientific at first, and it can be a little hard to follow, but it does become an easier read later on, and there's so much information and so many tactics that she has that you can use to help clean up what she calls your mental mess. She also gets into more about how each thought is a protein, and it's just so interesting how it's actually scientifically proven that thoughts actually cause changes in your brain. The third book that I really, really, really like is only available in print as far as I know. It reads more like a fiction book, so it's a really easy read if you're not a person who's a reader. It's called Happy School. It's by Julie N. Gordon, and I'll put that one also in my Amazon links at the bottom of the show notes as well. And that book is in a series with Wife School and Skinny School, so the book is Happy School, and it is so good. It was referred to me from a friend, and it does also have a workbook that you can buy on Amazon as well. The fourth book that I tend to listen to instead of read, I re-listen to this almost every year. It's called Anxious for Nothing. I think I've talked about it before. It's by Max Lucado, and it is probably one of the first books that I would suggest that people read because it tackles the thoughts of anxiety and fear, and it is a Christian book, but man, it is so good. And I suggest that for anybody who has constant anxious thoughts going on in their mind at any time. So another thing you can do to build up those muscles of controlling the self-talk train is to learn to meditate. And this is not something that's all hippy-dippy. There's nothing scary about meditation. I know that some people are afraid that it's going to put weird thoughts in your mind or whatever, and it's nothing like that. Meditation is nothing more than exercising your ability to focus on whatever you want to at will and hold that focus. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I'll tell you the best tools that I have for learning to meditate are, there's a book called Meditation for Beginners by Jack Kornfield, and it does have little meditations that you can go to the website in the book, and he has guided meditations that can really help you to expand your ability to do it. That book also talks to you about how meditation works and why it even exists in the first place. The other thing that is super easy to do to learn to meditate is to download the Headspace app. It's free, and they have various lengths of meditations that you can do, and they have a program to start meditating, and it starts out with like a 1 or 3 minute meditation that you can do daily and expand on that, and it'll help walk you through how to extend your time that you meditate and what you meditate on. It's so invaluable, and the fact that it's free is amazing. Another thing that can really help you to build that muscle is to carry that notebook from the third episode that I did called Free Your Mind. If you haven't listened to it yet, go to theerinolson.com/podcast and check it out. It's a great way to get a little more headspace as well. Another thing that can also help grow those muscles is journaling and gratitude. And I did podcasts on both of those as well. They are great tools to help get the thoughts out of your head so that you can spend more time dwelling on things that you want to instead of whatever thoughts roll in. And to help you with controlling your self-talk, I've created a worksheet called 4 Steps to Creating Healthier Self-Talk. That worksheet is available at theerinolson.com/self-talk. That's theerinolson.com/SELFTALK. And you can go download that worksheet, and hopefully it'll help you to really start controlling your self-talk. In the Bible, Philippians 4:8 tells us one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. I don't know about you, but I think that is a direct command that we have to address our self-talk and looking at what they say, what is true, what is honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable. And that's the stuff that you're supposed to think about. Those are the things that serve us the best, in all honesty. Minimizing the things that can harm us or create those toxic chemicals in our brains would really be a benefit to everybody that we meet every day. This week's homework is really simple. All I want you to do is to go and download the worksheet that I created at theerinolson.com/self-talk and use it on the one most dominant and reoccurring thought that you have. And hopefully you can slay the beast that is your self-talk. Well, I hope that you got some value out of this podcast. And if you liked it, could you just go on and rate it with your podcast platform and share it with a few friends? I would really appreciate it. And I thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to see you next week, hopefully, on the Quality of Life podcast. Thanks. See ya. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Be sure to check us out on the Quality of Life podcast, Facebook and Instagram pages, and our website, theerinolson.com, for downloads and more information. That is TheErinolson.com. Stay up to date by joining our email newsletter. Together, we can improve all of our quality of life.